One of the first real bad actions I had, I crossed the Rhine River on the Remagen Bridge.
We stopped on the outskirts of the Remagen Bridge. Lieutenant Gentleman said the bridge hasn't closed, and he said he'd come to let us go.
They lined us up. All the tanks, the heavy armor had priority seat, and we were lined up for miles. They pulled us on down to the bridge, and the platoon leader, which was a lieutenant in a tank platoon, said, "Now you tank commanders, get up on that big gun." See, they were bombing that thing all the time. They were trying their best to blow the thing up.
See, they were supposed to blow the bridge, and they didn't know we were down, and we beat them to the bridge. Lieutenant Gentleman did come to command them, and another boy, he went down on them to gut the demolition. And we started to cross the Remagen Bridge, and up in the tower was a guy with a machine gun. That's where I got the silver tail. Everybody dropped back by the bridge. I sat down with that BAR, come on, take him, that machine gun, and that guy was mad and fell out the tower. I don't know what happened. When that guy that was on machine gun was fine, the people that was known to blow the bridge went back to the dump. It was a dump under the. They come around railroad track, and the bridge just blew, and the people that were known to blow the bridge, they were moving back. They set up a defense line on the other side of the mountain. I was the third man to cross that Rhine River. They come to the people that dug that bridge and set up, and then we got to move in. Went one way, she got to move in, and one another way.
We were at the base of the bridge, and they loaded us onto an Army truck for some reason or other. And you know, of course, the Germans had planked the bridge so that all their vehicles could get across. It's a railroad bridge. And so that made it nice on us also to get across. So in this one truck, we went around across the bridge, quartermaster truck, and unloaded, and just poor driver, his black guy, and his eyes were that big, and he couldn't get back because of all the traffic coming, so he was stuck there. And that was the only truck they sent over because I guess they decided that's not a good idea because we can't have a bunch of trucks over there clogging up traffic. Right there at the other end of the bridge, when we got off the truck, there was a German soldier there, and he was still bleeding.
So it was the same day?
It was the same hour.
The same hour it had just been taken?
Yeah, it was the morning. It was 10:30 morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
We started across the bridge, and it was full of holes. And as I say, the driver and the assistant driver and even the tank commander just had a little periscope. Of course, I was standing up with my head out. And when we started to cross the river, I asked my driver, I said, I don't even remember his name, but I said, would you feel better if you buttoned up? That means close it down. And then all he's got is that little periscope about so big. And he said, no, I want to see out. So it was his choice. And as you cross the Rhine River on the Remagen Bridge, it turned back around like you get on interstate and went back, the road did back under. It was a railroad bridge that went straight into the side of a mountain. And as we crossed that bridge and made the turn around there, a mortar shell fell right in front of my tank, and it got my driver. And I realized what had happened, and how that it didn't get me, I don't know, because I had a poncho laying up there in front of me, and that thing was just full of holes. See, the tank just swerved around there and had the whole road blocked, and there was an MP there. Now, MPs had a pretty bad job, and he was Said, get that damn tank out of the road. And I told him, I said, my drive, I've lost my drive. I can't, because we had the road blocked. And then he realized what had happened, and he said, okay. And some guy gets off of a truck, leaves a truckload of gas. Well, they had these fallen tanks. You had your truck loaded with gasoline. He'd gone back under that bridge some guy had and just stopped that truck, and they made him get it out of there, see, because they were trying their best to save that bridge to get as many tanks and armor across that bridge as they could get over there, see. And so that was a railroad bridge that went right into the side of a mountain. So then after I got out of there, I got on and I spent the night in that tunnel, and that was a terrible, terrible experience. Wounded people in there, and it was just so cold, and it was just terrible. It was you couldn't, no light, and like I say, it was dark and cold, and this is a grisly story, but it was my job to clean up that tank, and of course that being part of that fellow's body. See, nothing but his head stuck out, see, of the tank. And he did not choose to use that little periscope to drive through because you couldn't see. You couldn't see much. You couldn't see enough to tell anything about it. And the bridge, as I say, was already full of holes. That was one of my the worst experience of all.
3 days later, they found the bridge out.
Who did? The Germans?
Yeah, they dropped the bomb out.
Did it take the bridge out?
Part of it. That's what all the time, but that's an overgrown.
Most of the people that crossed the Rhine just ahead of us went through the tunnel and up into Erpel, which was up in the bluff. We turned left and went north. When we got to the first town, which is Hanif, that was loaded with SS. Yeah, that was really exciting because the SS don't give up. And we got into a hotbed, and all we could do was fight. That was our first real, honest-to-goodness firefight, and also our first experience with fighting in town. Most of our fighting before had been countryside and woods and all that, because they were, up and firing out of windows down on us and everything else. So that went on a good part of the day before we finally got that all subdued. We took no prisoners. I have never seen an SS alive as a prisoner. They'd rather die, I guess, than give up. In that kind of combat, we found out in a hurry that the carbine was a much better weapon than the M1 Garand. So the officers were, of course, they were the only ones that had the carbines. But firing into wherever we'd see where a shot was coming from, we'd fire in the direction of that window and stuff like that. And then I didn't personally go into the buildings, but some of the guys did to clear them from the bottom up.
Once we crossed the Rhine River, we went into what they call the Rhineland, and that was the Ruhr Valley. And that was just about the end of, once we crossed that Rhine River and made a beachhead there and went into the Ruhr Valley, that was about the war started winding down pretty fast then.
Everybody moved on up the rail, and then about 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, the one that was water delivered now. We went back, we put a water delivered now. And then we came back and y'all never got them.